guys.
Will,
Hello.
how are we, mate? Can you see us?
All good, thanks. All good. How you doing?
Doing very well.
Your screen is. I can, but it's frozen.
We're frozen. I think
Yeah, frozen.
we had
I
a
can hear
guest
you.
just leaving, so maybe there's like a little, don't know, thing. Have I kept the recording going as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, it says recording on my side.
Cool. Mate, how's it going? What's new?
Yeah, dude. All good. All good. What's new? I don't know. Nothing much. It feels like as a founder, like during the day, it's just like incredibly chaotic, and you look back at the end of the week, and it feels like nothing's changed. But at the same time, like everything has changed. But yeah, we're still grinding hard. But no major updates on that side.
Where are we working from today? Are you in a new office or are you in Balderton?
No, we're in Balderton still. We've got another 2 months here. Not looking forward to it ending actually, for two reasons. Number one, I enjoy it. Number two, we're gonna have to start paying rent, which is not a good thing. But yeah, we're in Balderton's HQ in King's Cross right now.
Amazing. Well, I think for the guests, just to give an intro onto to you, what you and your co-founder are building. You know, what is Tano? Who is Charlie? Everyone's wondering who Charlie is. Is it an employee? Is it an AI agent? If you could give us like a rundown, elevator pitch, Tano, Charlie, and how things are going on your end as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're building Tano, and Tano's creating a AI employee or an AI agent. I guess it's really one of the same for influencer marketing, and we call that agent Charlie. We could probably go into why it's called Charlie, and the reason is not fantastic. But the way in which our customers and we really think about it is like we're building meta ads, but for influencers. So what that means in practice is our AI agent finds, outreaches, kind of manages and onboards influencers while keeping humans in the loop where it's important to do so. It's like obviously marketing is a very creative endeavor, and we don't really want to extract the creativity and humanness from it where we don't need to. So we get the agent to do a bunch of like the manual cumbersome work, and then we bring humans back in where it's important to do so. And the key problem that we're really looking to solve is that creator influencer marketing is a incredibly unique, like challenging channel for marketing brands, for e-commerce brands and marketing teams. That if you think about how most brands market themselves, probably like 80% of their spend plus goes on meta ads for e-commerce brands at least. And the reason they do that is just because it's like, firstly, so easy to extract so much data from what they're doing and the ads that they're serving. And secondly, it's very straightforward to go from like concept to production, and it's very quick. And that is the exact opposite of influence marketing. Influence marketing, people really struggle with getting any data. You know, you sponsor someone for an Instagram post. Is it going to get 1 million views? Is it going to get 5 views on our road? And we had some experience of doing this a couple of months ago. And then also like, even once you have all the data and you think you know what's going to happen, you've then got to go and, you know, negotiate and outreach real people on the other side. And that's incredibly complex and so time consuming. So we're trying to solve two of those things, getting better data so we can actually like forecast very accurately who's going to perform and who's not. And then once we have the data, actually take action upon it with our agents and go and find these creators and onboard them, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember I'm laughing there because I remember when we first connected. Me and Will met on a call, and he was basically, I think Sivesh had introed us from Balderton. We met on a call, and I was basically saying to Will, like, you know, what is Tano? Like, what does it do? And he's like, well, you know, like sometimes in startups, people are trying to unlock like short form content. They'll be manually going through an Excel sheet. The previous 2 hours to the call the previous 2 hours before jumping on the call, I had sat there manually going through like TikTok accounts. How many likes do the creators have? How many views do they have? So it was like I was just sold on the spot. He was like, oh yeah, we fixed that, and I was like,
oh perfect,
oh cool, because I'm just like I did that and I hate it.
Exactly. And even once you get all that data, like you then got to do the next thing. You've got to send 1,000 DMs and
it was a
50 of them
nightmare.
reply.
And like for a
it's a complete nightmare.
for a pre-seed startup, like that is just not where you want to be spending, you know, one of your 5 days, well, one of your 7 days a week, really. If let's be honest.
No, it's not. And even for like non-pre-seed startups, you know, big spenders, you know, the big spenders in the space are like Unilever and, you know, L'Oreal, these huge brands. and they have massive teams doing this. I remember I spoke to one of the influence marketers at L'Oreal, and she was saying that she spends like 2.5 up to 5 days a week literally just scrolling Instagram looking for good influencers. Like,
Wow.
it's a crazy use of their time.
Wow.
And there's like thousands and thousands of people doing this.
And so that's what your agent is doing now, is going, is scrolling through, it's finding the best influencers, it's pulling the data, and then what is it? Making suggestions to the humans to say, look, this is our top 3 suggestions.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it operates like an external employee. So a brand will come to us and say, we have X budget, or we have this idea of this kind of like ambassador affiliate program that we want to build. And then our agent will go away and find, 500, 1,000 creators or in some cases actually many more than that, who we think are a good fit, take it back to the customer and say like, which of these 1,000 do you want to partner with? And then the agent will go out and outreach to them and, get them on board for the campaign. And we integrate into Shopify, and we integrate into all the different affiliate networks. So we generate affiliate links. I don't know if you guys have had any experience with managing affiliates, but that is an entire kind of chaotic endeavor in itself. All these kind of UTM links and links and a bunch of stuff there. We send them the products. So the agent has many different tools at its disposal, one of which is actually sending products through Shopify. And then it really just takes on the entire process of managing these campaigns. And then at various points, it will come back to a human and say, this influencer asked me a very strange question. I don't know the answer to it. Or, maybe there was an issue sending the order, the address was slightly wrong. And then it pulls a human back in.
Nice. I mean, you mentioned just then, going back, you mentioned big brands. I don't think you've done yourself justice on the intro. I think you're being a bit humble, but Tano had managed to lock in customers like Lovable and Bolt within, I don't know how long it had been, but you didn't have an office. You still don't have an office.
we didn't. we still don't have an office.
Which is just I think that is insane. Yeah. That's a testament to just how cracks you and Sagar are. But can you walk us through what's it like working? Well, yeah, what's it like working with these hyperscalers? We were talking about Lovable this morning. There's a rumor going around now of 150 million, was it 1.8 billion valuation? Yeah. What's it like working with these guys? You kind of get to see a peek in on the inside, right? We'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. We're incredibly lucky, actually quite privileged to be able to work with these guys, because they are insanely cracked to the nth degree. I mean, a couple of observations that I found very interesting is, one is their speed to execution is second to none. I've never really seen anything like it. I've worked for a bunch of venture-backed startups, and it's really extraordinary. Their ability to take an idea and then just execute upon it immediately is really amazing. So, for example, when we signed Bolt, I was talking with Mitchell, who's the head of marketing. You should get on. He's a really awesome guy. And they'd been trying a bunch of different things. Obviously, a bunch of them had been working, but they wanted to experiment with influencers. They saw they were getting a bunch of organic reach on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, but they hadn't really put a huge amount of paid budget behind it. So they decided, literally on a Monday, to do this. By Tuesday, I was on a call with him. By Wednesday, we'd received the money for the influencers, and by the following Monday, we'd gone live with our first influencer. So it was 7 days. Normally, brands would probably spend a couple of months on this. And it's the same with Lovable. It's just the speed of iteration, the speed of execution is just remarkable. And I think the second observation I had is their ability to dig really, really deeply, much more deeply than a bunch of other customers we have, to be honest, into the data. I think is very special. I've been on calls with both of them, poring over mixed panel dashboards and really digging down to see what's actually moving the needle, which is hard for them, because when you have this inferno of growth under you, it's actually hard to know what's actually moving the needle and what's not, because the numbers are just going up so much every day. But those two things are very special. And they're also just so humble. These are two of the most exciting companies in the world at the moment, and you get on a call with them and you wouldn't know it. So they're great people to work with.
That's insane. I mean, we've spoke about them a lot on the show. Will, you and I personally as well. How their distribution is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Their viral coefficient is essentially baked into the product, right? I make something called Lovable. I want to show the world that hey guys, I'm technical now. Look at this thing I just built. Look at this, whatever it is. But it bridges that gap from I'm no longer an ideas guy to someone that can build something. But I do think that maybe I'm just a bit of an idiot when I use them. I'm not sure if the promise that I'm sold is I can build an app in seconds or whatever. App to idea in seconds, I think, is one of their taglines.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
what I was,
sure it's quite there. I'd love to hear what you think. When these tools actually are creating ideas to apps in seconds, that someone as poorly technically skilled as I can whip something up. Like, what do you think that future looks like?
Yeah, I mean, first to answer your, Seb, I don't know, have you tried building any apps on this?
Yeah,
And what your
I've actually
experience
used
has
it. I've used it a bunch. I used it in my job, like when I was working in a product team to like mock up
been? Oh, cool.
MVPs. But that wasn't.
Yeah,
That
that's
was,
what it's great for.
that's what it's
Yeah.
amazing for, and that's kind of what I think the biggest use case would be, especially on a B2B basis, will be actually putting this tool in the hands of like product managers, designers, engineers, as like a good way of testing things, getting it in front of your customers. But I tried to build a CRM, and you can build a CRM in like 5 minutes, and it looks great. It's got some basic functionality.
Yeah, but does it work?
It'll also break really quickly. And like my wife's a software engineer. She's an amazing developer. So for me, anytime that something would go wrong and I couldn't fix it or Lovable couldn't fix it, because they immediately try and debug it, I would just be like,
Yeah.
can you fix this for me? And sometimes she'd be able to fix it in 5 minutes. Sometimes she would spend like an hour trying to fix it. So
right.
And I think that's the big problem, is that you quite quickly hit the ceiling if you're not technical, at which point you do need to bring somebody technical in to be like, can you sort this out for me? Because I have no idea what's going on.
100%. So, like, my view on it is that it's obviously a continuum, and if you go back 5 years, my guess on the proportion of code that was written in a production environment with AI is probably like 2%, 1%, maybe even 0%. Yeah. Now, I look at every other like startup who's working here at Balderton, and just friends of mine who are working at startups. I would say probably like 90+% is probably written by Cursor. And now you extrapolate that, 5 years on with, right now it's done by Cursor, by someone prompting it. And that prompt is just like changing small small features or, like a few lines here and there, but it's not changing like entire, most of the time, it's not changing entire files or like entire code bases. Then you extrapolate that another 5 years, I think you'll get to a point where a huge amount of it is actually like both written and directed by AI. So I think actually Lovable even yesterday brought out their like AI agent functionality, which is like the first step towards this. And like, for sure, are you going to one-shot Salesforce? Probably not. Yeah. Despite maybe some of the promises. But what's also worth noting is like there are genuinely a bunch of apps that have been built on Lovable, on Bolt, on Replit or whatever it is, that are actually out in a production environment, but they do take time. So like if the promise is you can go from idea to app in seconds, like yes, that is true, but can you go from idea to like actually like a production worthy app in seconds? That's probably not quite there today. But if you spend enough time on it and you prompt it right, you definitely can. And I would say that there's actually a bunch of webinars that I think both those teams have done with kind of like consultants who work for them, who are using both of their applications to then go build like actual CRMs and stuff. And you get to like 4, 5, 6, 700 prompts. So the promise of doing it in a single shot, like probably not true. But if you actually utilize them to the extent of their capabilities, then it's like definitely possible today, and it's only going to get easier.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember just on that in general, a lot of what they do is sort of like social facing, right? Their growth was massive on X first before LinkedIn. Looking at your LinkedIn, you're very sort of creator friendly, right? And I know you have a background in this as well. Something that I'd love to hear. The way that I guess I call LinkedIn like a social media, but you're also on Twitter. You have TikTok. These are social media platforms. But it doesn't sound like you're using them in a social way, like any of these brands are using them in a social way, right? So what does the future for these apps look like?
Yeah, I think this is like a fascinating topic, and if I take a step back, and I think Ronan, we've spoken about this before, but there's nothing social about most of the social media platforms and networks these days. Nobody goes on TikTok to see their friends. You go on TikTok to see something served to you by the algorithm at 3 a.m. and then realize that you didn't get enough sleep. And I've spent a bunch of time thinking about this for the reason that if we can potentially use the kind of like parabola of the last 20 years to dictate where the next 20 years are going to go. I think it's very interesting. And so I was thinking about this before, and the first social medias were there was two: MySpace, which we've all heard of, and then another one called 6 Degrees. And they like truly were social medias. You would go on there to interact with your social network. The fact that 6 Degrees is called 6 Degrees is because, the expression 6 degrees of separation. And they were all predicated on the idea that your feed would be fed to you by people that were in your network and by things that were like directly relevant to you. And then, Facebook came and blew up, and then Instagram and Snapchat came and blew up too. And then TikTok came. And then in like 2019, it really started to blow up. And of course, over COVID in 2020, it just, exploded. And that's when everything changed, because for the first time, your newsfeed or your feed or whatever you want to call it, your For You page, what they end up calling it, was not dictated by the proximity or the closeness of you to another user. It was purely dictated by how strongly, like the algorithm thought that, how strongly thought you were going to enjoy that piece of content, which meant that it's meant a bunch of things. The first thing it's meant is that, as I say, nobody goes on TikTok to see their friends. There's nothing social. It's just an algorithmically driven feed of, copious amounts of, millions of videos are uploaded every day to TikTok, which means that firstly, like anybody can go viral. We have a bunch of creators that we work with, some of the brands you've just mentioned, who have maybe less than 100 followers, who've had videos hit, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. That just wasn't really possible like 10 or 15 years ago. You had to be a, celebrity or already a big creator to get those kind of results. But I think kind of the second order effect here is because there's kind of a lot of like inauthenticity in some of these networks today. There's kind of like a bit of a pushback towards people actually wanting some community and authenticity. So that's why, like, if you look at YouTube and you look at Instagram, like they're growing like 10, 15, 20% year on year, and TikTok's actually stayed flat for the last 12 months. So I find it, fascinating. It's not to say like anything's happening on TikTok; it's still crushing it. But it's certainly like a very new wave of interacting with other people on the internet.
Yeah, and we've heard other people say similar things, that the algorithm is changing and that it doesn't matter about your following; it just matters about how good quality your content is. How's that going to change things for you?
Yeah, it's. I actually think it's great, not just for us, but like new companies in the influencer marketing space. Because look at all these, like if you look at all these old agencies and even like the old, big creator SaaS platforms, the number one thing that they index for when they, advise you to partner with a creator is how many followers they have. We literally do not consider that at all. If you have, 500 million followers and you're Mr. Beast, or you have, 500 because you just started yesterday, like it honestly does. YouTube's a bit different, but on like Instagram, especially TikTok, it just genuinely does not matter at all, like literally not at all, which creates great opportunities for smaller creators. But brands kind of still, I think, often fall into the same trap where they'll see someone on TikTok with 200,000 followers and think, fantastic, they're going to go and get me 200,000 views. And it just doesn't work like that. They might get 500 views and they might get 1 million. It's like completely irrelevant how many followers they have, which is why the way in which we structure it is based much more on like actual like historical views. I'm very lucky in the fact that my co-founder Saga is like great at maths, great mathematician. So he's done a lot of analysis into like how we can predict some of the view counts and all of this kind of stuff, which is very helpful. But I actually think a lot of brands and especially some of the big agencies still have they're like years behind on this.
And we're trying to build our social media. Like we're going on Instagram, we're going on TikTok. We've got like no followers on these platforms.
Give us the deets. Give us the secrets.
Yeah. What are your top recommendations for just like creating good quality viral content?
I can give you so my own lived experience is, and I think Ronan we've spoken about this, is like the reason I got into this space is in 2024. My sister and I both started. I started a TikTok, and she started a TikTok, and then latterly an Instagram. And I was kind of helping her out on the side in the evenings and weekends to try and grow her page. She's an interior designer. She really started it because she just wanted to buy more leads, essentially. And like nothing really happened for a while, and then we just carried on. We'd have a meeting every week. This week we're going to do this. You need to do this format and this hook. And like over time, it just like built and built and built and built. And then eventually, she finally had one viral video about why you shouldn't use black taps in your bathroom. Like a relatively innocuous.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
And it blew up. Yeah, it blew up, and it's got millions of views. But that singular video drove like 50,000 followers for her overnight on Instagram.
Wow.
And the
That's
reason
insane.
we think that is because that she had like weeks and weeks of content posting every single day, like providing value for her audience. So when someone saw that video and thought, okay, that's interesting. Why shouldn't I use black tabs? Went on her profile. And then that's how you actually build an audience, not by just like a singular viral hit, that, goes out to the ether and then you never hear or see anything from it. It's actually like building, reputation, providing value. And that's just the main thing. It's like value first. And Seb, like you do an extraordinary job at this. I follow all your posts and like you're always providing value, which is why people, I guess, like trust what you're saying and like want to hear from you. But there's also no silver bullet. And I get asked a lot about, viral hacks. And I think you just got to keep throwing stuff at the wall.
Yeah, I heard another growth like marketer who's built or grown some of the biggest brands in Europe. He's working with a company now and he says he's got like 20 company pages on TikTok and like every single account or 20 accounts on TikTok. And they're all slightly different names, but they all lead to the same place. Yeah. And he just spams TikTok with like slightly different variations of the same content on all these 20 different accounts. And he was saying that he's not optimizing for a following. He's not optimizing for all he wants to do is create viral clips that drive people to whatever it is that he's trying to get to. I think for him, it was like a recruitment app or something.
Yeah. So that is like the current meta on TikTok. And that's actually what we run for some of the companies we mentioned before, like Lovable, is there's no point in sponsoring a creator who's got 50,000 followers on TikTok. And there's no point in giving them like $5,000 for a post because, chances are it's probably going to flop and get a few thousand views. And that you're just literally playing the lottery at that point. You're just gambling. The way to do it is exactly as you just mentioned, your friend in Europe, and this is what we do with a bunch of companies, is we sign them a bunch of creators who each create a video per day, and they follow the content kind of directions we give them, like almost to the word, and then we give them a small amount of creative freedom. And that's how you get hundreds of pieces of content going out each month with known viral content themes. And we can kind of like direct it, and we have all these different creators who are, as I say, making like the same type of video, small variations, like slightly different hooks. And that's how you win on TikTok. Follow account, completely irrelevant. Yeah. It's just like, can we hit the numbers?
Yeah, and I think that's what we want to try and test out. It's like, can we get 100 TikToks out a week, which are all very similar, but like you said, there's very slight variations on the hook of the caption.
Yeah, exactly.
And just see what hits.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone who does as well as Harry Stebbings in 20VC. I think he told me he had 6 or 7 editors, like short form video editors, who just clip up all his podcasts. So
no
like, you
way.
guys can make
100
clips out of this. Yeah. I mean, I think that's across his different podcasts, not just the main one. But I find that very surprising. But the name of the game on short form media is quantity. Of course, quality is important, but honestly, I would index like higher on just quantity than quality. If you spend 2 weeks making the perfect TikTok, you'll definitely be worse off than you spend 2 weeks creating one video every day.
Yeah. And I've definitely experienced that even on LinkedIn, right? My own posts, it's like I've just got to...
Yeah, it's true.
You just got to churn them out. Well,
that's what we thought today. We thought banger alert when we dropped the recap, and it was a clanger alert. It didn't bang.
Didn't bang.
Didn't bang. The LinkedIn algo is crazy. I don't think anyone actually quite understands it. You'll get seeing like very boring posts, bang, and then very interesting ones do nothing.
Yeah.
It's like putting that in that group chat we're in with. I was like, yo, anyone know if you tag loads of people, does that kill you?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
It's like a real black box.
Because you'll see posts with like 1,000 people tagged get 10,000 likes. I don't think anyone understands the LinkedIn algo.
Yeah, no one does. And I speak to other people who are like trying to build audiences, and everyone just is like pulling their hair out, like what is going on? It changes all the time with absolutely no transparency.
I completely agree. I mean, Seb, what are your findings?
What about
just consistency?
Yeah, you just got to be consistent. Yeah. I mean, like the uptick I saw, I started doing it once a week in January last year, and I was seeing like very modest, steady growth, but the occasional post would do well. And then in May, I started doing it at least 5 times a week, and then the following and the engagement, the reach, kind of 10x overnight. The first week that I did 5 posts, I got more followers from that week than in the 5 months before, where I'd been doing it once a week.
Really?
And it wasn't,
that's crazy.
I don't think the content was that much better. It was just that the LinkedIn algorithm loved me being like a super user, and they pushed things, and it meant that every day I was having engagement, and You just got to churn
So it's
it
like
out.
engagement per week almost, as opposed to.
I don't know. This is the thing. I have no idea why, but I think they just promote the super users. And like now, I'm a prolific LinkedIn loser. I just churn out the content all day, every day.
Like LinkedIn stories.
You have to cross the valley of what was the expression, like cross the valley of cringe to get to the promised land, which I think is so true.
No, I crossed that bridge a long time ago.
Me too. Yeah, Seb, I'm surprised that Revolut haven't offered you the job of like chief communications officer yet.
It's an absolute travesty.
Hey, we need to get them on.
Big payday incoming.
Biggest miscarriage of justice. It's absolutely shocking.
Yeah, you're showing growth marketing. Like, surely you must have driven some.
All this influencer marketing I'm doing for them. They give me nothing in return.
Well, Charlie's coming for you.
Yeah, actually, we should hit you up. We'll get you a Revolut brand.
Yeah, I'm only interested in Revolut. But why would they? I do it for free anyway.
You just love them so much.
But also, how hard is it for the company page to like my post? Just like my post, Revolut. Come on.
This is a direct message to Revolut.
Have they never liked it?
No, they never. Some companies always will. Some companies always won't. I'm always just like, come on, Revolut. Just give me one.
They're missing out.
I thought maybe one thumbs up, one like goat emoji.
You would have thought so.
Goat emoji.
I've earned it.
You should start talking about Monzo, because
they don't engage
much more.
They're
not, because they're much more active. They have like a kind of more humorous.
They do like the social, like,
they engage
here's what happened
with
on Monday
everyone's posts. They won't touch mine. I don't know what it is.
It's because you're so Revolut.
It's because you love Revolut.
Yeah. It's weird. You know, they're like the most easy like you could get on LinkedIn. If you talk about them or you talk about their social media strategy,
nothing.
They're nothing from me.
There's probably a black mark next to your name.
Yeah. Do not engage with this account.
That's good. I have just two. We've got literally 3 minutes left. So I guess maybe
3 minutes.
Just one last question instead of two. We have your old CEO coming on. We have Eric from Encord. Anything that we should ask him? Anything that we shouldn't ask him? Does he love Monzo? And Seb's going to have a problem with him.
I think Eric has, number one, he's just an incredibly smart, insightful guy. I would go pretty deep on where AI has come from and where it's going. I think he's very, very insightful around that, and a very kind of at a very technical level. I remember that he spoke about there's an anecdote he gave when I was at Encord last year. I think it was at the Sun Party, where he was using ChatGPT. Well, it wasn't even called ChatGPT. I think it was just called GPT-2 that he used for a wedding speech back in 2017 or something. So you can see he was well ahead of the curve, truly ahead of the curve. And also Encord's interacting with some of the most ambitious and frontier labs and AI companies as well. So he truly is at the forefront of it. So I would go deep on AI, what he thinks happening. I think he's a big fan of NVIDIA, so ask him about that. I'd go deep on deep learning and AI.
Amazing. All right,
so cool.
Thanks for joining us, Will. It's been a pleasure to have you.
We got to have you
awesome.
back.
Keep us up to date.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. And,
Nice one, mate.
Sweet. Have a good one. Good luck with it.
Ciao.
Cheers, guys.